Alright, I just thought it'd be more fun to read the last single before my book release, rather than just post it, because it's kind of silly, and I think that humor is better conveyed verbally than over text, at least mine. I think I suck at that, honestly. So anyhow, the first thing I will just read the new thing. I'll read something else, make it a quickie, but still somewhat of a set. Is going to be called D Press Release. Just a parody of a press release about my book coming up that also does function as a press. There's no press, but you know what I mean. Todd Daniel Crawford's latest self published book, if you can call it that, is set to be released on February 16th, 2025, the day after the birth date of Connor Oberst of the emo folk band Bright Eyes. Titling this work after himself, unsurprising, given the author appears to be obsessed with a mirror image of his own navel, seemingly implies that he's a next in a lineage after proper, studio, and industry approved artists such as Oberst. This latest release comes after the dissolution of his controversial publishing house, Longshot Books, a project ending in Crawford threatening not only the company, which he seemed to have been removed from after submitting a manuscript under a pseudonym, which was rejected by his own business partner, but also his business partner herself, who shall not be named, as preserve her safety, in case his text serves as a reminder to her self-obsessed former accomplice what her name even is, as he has surely drunk that from his memory by now. This is just one in a string of many failures the past few years, including an attempted documentary film, return to public reading events, and some epic poem about football. Two things the failed writer, uncome publisher, surely knows as much about as the average high school boy. Perhaps the only appropriate audience for his juvenile grasp on writing emotion. After he seemed to have spared us and crawled back under the rock from whence he came, threats emerged that he had hopes of making movie or television projects, enough to make an atheist thank God when such talk turned out to be nothing more than dry farts. Some have said that Crawford lost his mind under dubious circumstances in 2017, but that would be to fallaciously suggest he ever had it. Crawford spent the remainder of 2023 estranging himself from any potential defenders and shitting out his most previous abortion, a work tastefully titled Party Boy, onto his own website. As surely no bunt was ever less deserving of a loving home. So consider this less a press release so much as a warning, a public service announcement to avoid this book like a turd it dried up on the sidewalk. God forbid anyone subject themselves to the ramblings of that Necronomicon. If there ever was an argument against freedom of speech, Todd Daniel Crawford, available on Amazon February 16th, 2025, is it, written by Sandy Clifton. And I don't have a voice. It's very difficult for me to breathe right now. I'm getting over being sick. And to be honest, part of this is just an exercise and like, okay, am I able to speak for long periods of time? So I keep like every sentence like, and I'm really sorry, but it's very irritating. So this next one, each story in this book has two titles, and I only know like the actual titles of each one, rather than the fake titles at the beginning of the book. And it's called Funer AI, Funerai. And it's just a goof. It's just a silly parody of a lot of books that are popular now, without having read any of them. Just making jokes, nothing serious or against the people writing them. I just thought it was a fun little writing project. I thought I'd include in the book. It's a comedic relief from all the nihilism and melodrama of the rest of it. So this is probably the most lighthearted thing in the book. I think there might be another that's up there, but this is at least just funny, or it attempts to be funny. It begins with a prompt. AI, what is the most marketable book I could write? You Can Fix Him is a dystopian fantasy written by Colleen Moz. It is written in the second person present tense, the protagonist's name never being specified, because it's all about the moment, and the moment's all about you. Also, so that readers can self-insert easier. When the character addresses the reader, as written as "He said your name." Taking place in the year 13 PX, you are a working class girl trapped in the army against a war against trolls who aim to force impregnation upon the female population as their species is dying due to being unsociable and hideous. You are not only up for the task as a radical liberal, but also because you have personally been harassed by trolls in public, simply for being a beautiful, genius woman that everyone is in love with. Before leaving, your mother gifts you her slingshot from when she and her friends used to practice guerrilla warfare on the trolls when she is your age. She tells you the story of hitting a red gas canister with an exploding pellet and blowing up a troll on patrol standing next to it. During basic training, you meet and immediately become besties with Luther, a homosexual black elf who provides comic relief and emotional support. He volunteered to be of service because the trolls used mind control, a power trolls are developing using a magical gas light found in the nether regions of the world, to make his lover commit Sudoku. He immediately notices and respects that you are naturally skilled at everything without any training. Miraculously, you were sent to the same unit of the army, unfortunately managed by General Stump. He makes enemies with you immediately after you call out his homophobic racism towards Luther, comparing him to a troll. You are informed by veteran Sam Strong that Stump took particular offense, as he is part troll and ashamed of his heritage. You begin an affair with the mysterious Sam Strong, but seem to be singled out by Stump, not just for your defense of Luther, but also because he appears to be secretly in love with you. This is complicated when your relationship with Strong evolved into a love triangle with Putt, your long-lost childhood best friend who was orphaned as a child due to the troll's offenses. Lucky for you, you have Luther to give relationship advice with just the right amount of zest. While out practicing your slingshot, which you easily mastered, you notice Strong walking with a limp, but he avoids your question about what happened. He also seems to have hand spasms, which he refers to as glitches. During a severe episode, he asks you to help him take his shirt off and open the panel on his back, revealing not only a perfectly defined six-pack, but also that he is part robot, equipped with a certain vibrating appendage. You easily rewire his circuitry, fixing all of his issues, and he confides in you about trolls attacking him as a child and being reconstructed with mechanical parts for what the trolls bit, tore, and burned off, also revealing that he's a prince and very, very wealthy. Fortunately, the injuries were not superficial, and he looks like the airbrushed male model on the front of a magazine. The only thing he cannot do, it turns out, is cry, because the trolls ate his tear ducts. You are caught cuddling by Stump, who puts you on slop duty in the kitchen all week. The next time you run into him, you call him out on his arrogance, bigotry, and abuse of power in front of the whole squad. You know your problem, he explodes. You're too perfect, and you don't know how hard it is not to be. His speech is not met with applause, but his entire army laughing at him. Then they all clap for you, because you are so brave and smart and moral. Luther does a backflip. Despite this minor victory, the war with the trolls is looming, and with Stump dishonorably removed from office, they have decided to replace him with the best soldier with a heart of gold and a perfect smile. You. Will you win the war? Spoiler, yes. Will you be able to decide between the sweet but kind of pussy Putt or the mysterious, strong, and super rich Strong? The book actually has a choose your own ending, where you can choose between Putt, Strong, or yourself. According to market research, 97% of readers chose Strong. The other 3% may not have finished the book or did not respond to the poll. Paperback copies of the book came with shirts saying "I can fix him" during a limited promotional release leading up to the theatrical release of the movie adaptation. So yeah, that's just a funny. And the last one I'll read was it was a second thing that I released for the book. There's 3 actual parts of the book I released leading up to the book, and then the D press release, which is not part of the book. And I'm not reading the first one that I released ever out loud. It's not like vulgar that I recall. It's just I don't know. It doesn't feel appropriate. I don't like it. I like the sanctity of it just being on paper forever, and that's it. So this one is not that, but it is from a later portion of the book titled "I Go Quiet," and I think it's the only honest piece of writing in the entire book. It's the only thing that's not like a character or like hidden behind layer of satire and irony and humor. Um, at least on a reread months after writing it and not touching it, I think this is the only thing that's like actually legitimately like uh, truly confessional in any sense, or I relate to on a personal level, um, unironically as a reader of it. I guess I don't know. As a guy who wrote it, it's the only thing that I think actually applies to me as a person. I'll put it that way. But it's titled "I Go Quiet." I get stressed. I don't like to talk about it, and when I do, I say too much. So that's all I got. That's all you get. Um, Not that anybody's asking for more, but yeah. So the book's out February 16th. So be sure to review bomb it on Amazon once it's out. Lots of 1 stars, complaints. Yeah.